What is creative financing for real estate? The answer to that question could change the trajectory of your real estate investing future forever in a very positive way. So I'm going to break down the secrets to the structures of creative financing so that you can break through any money problem that may be holding you back. All right, so I'm gonna make this really easy for you to wrap your head around. I'm gonna go through all the different possibilities that you have available to you for your creative financing. The second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to find these deals. And the third thing I'm gonna do, if you stick around, I'm gonna walk you through an example of one of my private clients of how they freed themselves from the corporate rat race forever. All right, so I get it. You want to continue your real estate investing business. You want to build your real estate portfolio, but you're tired of working with real estate agents. You're tired of working with banks, and you're flat out tired of paying full price. So this means you're looking for options because you don't want to work with real estate agents anymore. You don't want to work with a bank, and you want to buy real estate at a discount. Well, enter creative financing. So creative financing, it's an innovative way to purchase property that doesn't involve the traditional players or the traditional methods. And this was first introduced to real estate investing back in the 70s when interest rates were really high and it was really tough to get qualified for a loan. But since, it's kind of stuck because what people discovered was it might be better than the traditional and conventional ways that are available to us. And I think you'll see that as we go along. And to understand creative financing, I think it really helps to understand fully traditional financing. I mean, we go out and we look for a house. We go back to the bank and ask them to finance it for us, right? We ask the bank for a loan. The bank gives us a little letter. We go show it to the seller with our offer. And then the process begins once that offer is accepted. And the banks will go through and they'll make sure that the inspection was right. They'll go ahead and make sure that the appraisal was correct. Then they'll do an extensive background check on you, the borrower. And then if everything checks out, they'll go ahead after you have put in your 20% down payment, they'll fund the balance, and now the deal is closed. You know how that works. That's the traditional way of how most real estate transactions play out. And when you're a real estate investor, you will come to a point where the banks inevitably stop giving you money. They put a limit on how much they're gonna loan to you to buy real estate. And what most investors think that they have is a money problem, when in reality, all they have is an idea problem. Creative ideas in real estate are referred to as terms. And that's how we purchase property, via price and terms. And those terms being stuff like seller financing and HELOCs, hard money. It could be lease options, self-directed IRAs, personal loans, crowdfunding, bartering. I mean, the possibilities, they're endless. You're only limited by your own creativity, thus creative financing. Now, before I break down how to find these types of creative deals, if this has already got your wheels turning and you're liking what you're hearing, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to the channel because I post cool creative money-making ideas like this each and every week, and you're not gonna wanna miss it. So now, how do we find these creative deals? You know, you thought you were in the real estate investing business, but really you're in the marketing business. Most real estate investors don't realize that because we can market for deals, or we can just go to real estate agents to buy our deals that did the marketing for us. But of course, we got to pay full retail and we got to go ahead and play the traditional game. We're very limited on the creativity over there. Now, that would still work because real estate is the best investment on earth and you'll still get everything you want out of it. It's just going to move a lot slower. But if you'd like to move faster, you want to start focusing on becoming a really good marketer, where you're going to market directly to the sellers in almost in the exact same way that the real estate agents are. You're going to beat them to the punch, so to speak. You're going to grab these properties off market before the agents put them on market. Now, when you talk to the seller, when they reach out to you from your marketing, now you can get creative. And it looks like this. You know, every piece of property we buy or sell is going to be through the seller's price and our terms, or our price and the seller's terms. As long as we can control one of those, we can always create a deal for yourself. It looks kind of like this. If I have this axis right here, this vertical axis represents the price. And down here, the horizontal axis represents time, or our terms. And if we're gonna look how we typically negotiate with a seller, we're offering them a deeply discounted all cash offer. That's how most of us go about it. And in our axis here, that deeply discounted all cash offer is right here, where the price is really low and the terms are really short and sweet and all cash and easy. But let's say that the seller doesn't want your price, doesn't like the discounted price you've offered them, and you can say, that's okay, I'd be happy to give you more up here if I can take a little longer to pay it. And that's typically what we'll say, is that I understand that this might not be the right fit for you, and that's perfectly okay. I would be glad to give you more if the market's gonna allow it. if I could give you some money now and the rest later. So how much money do you need right now? And then I'll pay the rest later. And what later looks like is an infinite number of possibilities. That's where the terms come into play. And I go really deep into all of these countless, endless possibilities in a complete video series on creative financing. They're short, sweet, to the point, easy to follow. They're all step by step. And I put a link to those right down below in the description. And not too long ago, someone just like you went down and clicked that link. And his name's Josh, and he had a great job, and he took to heart these creative financing strategies, and he just went bananas with it. And what he was able to do is turn a whole lot of rejection into acceptance. And how he did that was he crafted a little letter where he put a creative financed offer, and he sent it to every single person that had ever said no to him, that had ever said no to his all cash offer. And when we met, Josh was working a full-time job, a really good job. He had a healthy 6-figure salary, but he found it really unfulfilling. But by most people's standards, it was a fantastic job. But his real desire was to become a full-time real estate investor. His problem was he couldn't find enough deals to consistently compensate for his corporate paycheck. And perhaps the even bigger issue was that he didn't have a whole lot of time, a lot of spare time on the side to pursue his real estate investing, and he was having a really tough time finding properties at a deep enough discount. So the plan was to cast a very wide net and market nationally. And that worked for a little while. He was able to find a lot of deals, but they were scattered all over the United States. And what he was having a trouble with was actually selling them for a profit, because he wasn't getting them under contract for the right price. He wasn't getting them under low enough to where he could sell for a good enough profit, because he just didn't really know the markets. He wasn't from St. Louis where he had a property. He wasn't from Kansas City where he had a property. He wasn't from Birmingham where there was a property for sale. He just didn't know the markets. So then we decided to switch it up and just focus on a single market and get really concentrated and go deep. He had gone really wide, didn't work so well, so now we were gonna go deep. And that really worked out for him, because he took a lot of appointments and he met with a lot of sellers, and a lot of them said no to him. But what he would do is he would send what we call his rejection letter. And it was a letter that had multiple options, multiple creative options. And what he discovered was a great deal, 85 to be exact in that year, of those no's turned out to be yeses, because they saw different options that were available to them. And it was just 6 months after incorporating and implementing that plan, he was able to walk away from his fancy 6-figure corporate job. And in 2 years later, he actually quit real estate. He was so successful in such a short period of time, he's able to build a passive income real estate portfolio that would support his next venture in life. And his real dream was to start a software company. And that software company was 100% funded by his real estate. And the difference was the creative offers that he started to present to sellers. And I recently talked to Josh. I interviewed him right here on the channel, and he shared with me how he was able to do this. And he walked everybody through it step by step, but more importantly, how you could walk in his footsteps and duplicate his results. And if you'd like to watch that interview and what Josh had to share, I put a link down below in the description for you for easy access. And that's what creative financing for real estate is and how it works. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.